Peter Lindo. I'm your MC for this afternoon, class of 1976. And let me acknowledge a few St. George's dignitaries in the pantheon of George's greats. I see Mr. Dennis Barnett is here, Wayne Curtis Myrie, in no particular order, by the way. Deacon, Deacon Ronald Thwaites, and the great Wayne Ray, and let's see, Michael Chuck, let me see what, oh, of course, the man whose brainchild this lecture series was, Mr. Stephen Hill. So give a round of applause to Mr. Hill, please. Okay, cadets, are you ready? All right, so we're gonna now stand by for the national anthem, and the St. George's Cadet Corps will lead the way. Go ahead, please, thank you. Thank you, St. George's Cadet Corps. Thank you very much. Listen, I'm allowed a senior moment, so let me first of all also acknowledge Tony Wong. Give Tony, one of the pantheons of George's greats, right? And Patrick Terlong. Also, I would be remiss if not to mention the headmaster of our neighbors across the street. Kingston College is here, Mr. Dave Myrie. I think he is. I don't see him, but I need to acknowledge. There he is. Thank you for coming, sir. Okay. And did I mention Dr. Trevor Monroe is here? Another one of the pantheon of George's greats. Okay. Now it's for me to hand over to the principal of St. George's, Mrs. Margaret Campbell, to do the official welcome. Please make Mrs. Campbell welcome.
As I was saying to the MC before I started, usually I can rely on the long list of protocols to be covered first so that I can easily come up and say, having observed all protocols, good afternoon. That being said, since we have not formally greeted everyone, it is my task to therefore welcome you happily to St. George's College for this significant event. So please pardon me if I miss anyone, but there are some people that I think we really need to mention this afternoon. I would like to first welcome our guest of honor, who is not yet in the space, but I will still welcome him, Mr. Philip Wong and his wife, Barbara. And I think before I move on, I must say just a few words about Philip Wong. This year is my 20th year at St. George's College, and Philip Wong has been involved in the college for that long and longer. He has given faithful service to his alma mater, providing in a number of different ways, from buildings and renovations of roadways and renovation of buildings and building of buildings, to the entryway at the entrance of the college, to scholarships for students. Every time we call, he faithfully answers with a yes. And so we are very proud this afternoon to welcome him. His story is a fascinating one. He's an amazing businessman, entrepreneur, and I'm sure, students, that you will learn quite a bit from him. I'd also like to welcome and recognize our planning committee for this event. They put in quite a bit of work behind the scenes. And so I'd like to welcome Professor Monroe, Professor Trevor Monroe. If you could just wave there, Professor Monroe, as well as Mr. Stephen Hill, Mr. Peter Lindo, and Ms. McFarlane, our Dean of Sixth Form. I'd like to also especially welcome the principal of Kingston College, Mr. Dave Myrie. He's an excellent neighbor. There he is at the back. And so we're happy to welcome Mr. Myrie today. I'm not sure if there are any other principals in the house, but I welcome all principals and teachers, members of staff from other schools. We are very happy to have you this afternoon. I'd like to also welcome all members of the class of 1959, especially because that is the year group from which Mr. Wong hails. I was finding out last night how many of them played Manning Cup. Deacon Thwaites, I heard that you were one of the cheerleaders. But they were sharing a business yesterday. And so I would like to welcome especially the class of 59. And so if you're from the class of 59, would you please stand? That was an amazing class that produced wonderful Georgians, wonderful men. Two Rhodes Scholars came from that group, and so we're happy to welcome you this afternoon. I'd like to also make welcome, I'm not sure if she's here as yet, Ms. Tamika McCreath, Senior Education Officer from the Ministry of Education, and yes, she's with us. Thank you so much for joining us for this event. The president of the St. George's College Old Boys Association is also with us, Mr. Ray Wong. There's Mr. Wong. And then I would like to welcome some very special guests or students. This event was planned for you. The planning committee came together with the goal not just of often our donors and people who give to schools, give things, give money, and so forth. One of the ways that this committee has come together is with the goal of human flourishing, to give you the chance to find your greatness. And so we're happy to welcome you this afternoon, and we have the sincere hope that you will be better than the generation before you. That is the goal of any generation. And so please give your attention and, open ears and hearts to listen to what is shared and to take that and run with it and do something amazing for your country, for the world, for humanity. So welcome one and all. Welcome especially, I forgot to welcome all our other old boys who are here. We're happy to have you, all our special guests. We're happy to have you here this afternoon, and we look forward to an amazing event with Mr. Philip Wong. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Campbell. Amazing, guys. Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause again, please. Now I am going to introduce the man who will introduce our keynote speaker. This lecture series is about being inspired by success. But from what I know of Mr. Wong, he's more than just an inspiration for success. His story is one of success, gratitude, and philanthropy. And you will hear that in his story. His story reads like some sort of adventure novel. So someone who can say much more about Tony Wong and give you some insight into the man, I asked to come to the podium to do the official introduction, Mr. Jezeel Martin.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful, that's much better. Everybody's hearing me clearly, right? Great. You know, it's an absolute honor to be here this afternoon to introduce my Georgian brother, Philip Wong. I was told that the young Philip Wong, back when he was at St. George's College, was among the brightest of his cohort, and he had a spirit of entrepreneurial fervor that served him quite well post his days at St. George's College. Philip Wong, contrary to what people think, was not born in Jamaica. He was born in Tahiti, the son of a Jamaican father whose family emigrated to Jamaica when he was 5 years old. On arrival to our shores, did not speak a word of English, yet ultimately landed a spot here at St. George's College. And this talented youth of the South Pacific, he thrived, and he was extremely successful in his studies here at St. George's College and graduated in 1959. 1959. That's a very long time ago. And we have Mr. Wong and some of his other Georgian brothers from the class of 1959 here with us. And I think just for that, we need to give them a round of applause. During the 1960s, Philip's further education included Los Angeles City College, earning a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering at the University of California at Los Angeles, followed by a master's degree in business administration. His first foray into the world of business began with successful restaurants in Jamaica and in the United States, Miami in particular. And one favorite and very famous restaurant at a particular law firm, which I used to work with. Then all of his business experience culminated in the launch of Deltana Enterprises, Inc., based in Miami, Florida. There he demonstrated his dynamic leadership as founding president since 1995, 2 years after the birth of a specific Georgian. Make a note of that. Deltana is a multi-million US dollar hardware manufacturing and distribution company which manufactures its products in Taiwan, South Korea, and China, and distributes its hardwares supplies to all of the states in the United States, also in the Caribbean, Latin America, and also Canada. All of these successes saw blessings rain upon Philip, but the support of his family, Philip was driven by the spirit of philanthropy, making differences in the lives of those who did not know what good fortune was. Everybody following me? So in September 2005, now 12 years old, that specific Georgian began his studies as a first former here at St. George's College. 1 year later, 2006, that specific Georgian met Philip Wong, along with one of Philip's good STGC buddies, Dennis Barnett. A poor little boy from Augustown with limited means, a single mother, having just sent her son to university in the US with limited resources, did not know how she was going to afford new uniforms, books, etc., etc. Philip Wong, the interviewer, and the specific Georgian, the interviewee, connected. I could say the rest is history, but I have to give you a little bit more color. Post the interview, his mother received a call that he was just awarded a 9-year scholarship covering every single academic expense at St. George's College. Tuition, internet, because there was no internet at home, laptop, because he didn't have a computer, books, whatever scholastic interest he had, all covered, no question asked. Bus fare, JUTC, lunch at school, socks on his feet, the brief he would wear to school. That granular, he made sure that every single detail was covered financially. The poor little boy from Augustown wanted to play lawn tennis and badminton. He said, "Don't worry, I have you covered." I'm sure you figured it out. That little boy is me. Oh, you didn't know? I thought you guys were following. Yes, that little boy is me. I left St. George's College in 2010 as a graduate, advanced to sixth form, and left as head boy of St. George's College. Thank you. Thanks to the generosity of Philip Wong, I'm standing here right now having a conversation with you. Yes, I'm still that poor little boy from Augustown, that Georgian who left in 2012, but I'm a commercial lawyer, pretty successful one, and I would not have attained the success, and I would not have been standing in front of you introducing this gentleman without his support and his love as a father figure. St. George's College benefited greatly from Philip's commitment, with generous contributions including 9 scholarship recipients and more. I think that number has increased. The refurbishing of the chemistry lab, I would say the facelift of the entrance of our halls or hallowed halls, the refurbishment of the Lawrence Abert building, and I mean the list goes on and on. He and his colleagues are now involved in, a lot of restoration activities. He constantly donates to the school. Wherever there is a need, he always has a particular weak spot for St. George's College. And not just the institution, but his younger brothers here, seeking to give them a taste of what good fortune is, always trying to do good. Always trying to do good and impressing upon them the importance of recognizing, acknowledging privilege, acknowledging and being thankful for generosity, and extending the same grace that others would have extended to you, and make sure that at all times you fiercely defend the value of your name. He often tells me, your name is everything. And if nobody is going to defend it, you should. I know for sure that without him having to defend his name, there's so many people who can stand here in this auditorium this afternoon and speak to the value and the measure of not just his generosity, but the measure of Philip Wong, the man. Happily married to Barbara with 2 sons, that marriage of over 50 years has produced 2 wonderful sons, Paul and Jimmy. Now retired from Deltana, he continues in his retirement seeking out opportunities to transform the lives of the less fortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce Philip Wong, the Georgian.
Hmm? Oh, I can do it. I can stand. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you very much, Jezeel. That was a more than adequate introduction. Thank you very much. He did not mention it, but Jezeel is now a very accomplished attorney. He worked at Myers, Fletchers and Gordon, and now he's on his own. And the stature that he has attained is that he's dealing with the biggest corporations in Jamaica in relation to companies and corporations at the New York Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange. So that is a great accomplishment. Thank you. I am so honored to be here today to see so many of my 59 Georgians, and I'm very happy to be here with them. I wish to ask you your indulgence to give me a few moments to introduce some of them. I don't think I can do everybody, but I would like to acknowledge Mrs. Campbell first. Mrs. Campbell, the longest serving principal of St. George's College. Please stand. Thank you. And secondly, I'd like to introduce my wife to you so that at least you can know who is the 50% of what I'm giving is coming from. So Barbara, will you stand up? Thank you very much. Thank you. Barbara is my wife of 51 years. We were married, and when we got married, she decided to come to Jamaica. The first year the first couple of months that we were married. Anyway, let me go on to the others. And she has been with me for all the programs that I have donated. You know, that's 50% is coming from her side. So I need to thank her for that, including the scholarship programs. I would like to acknowledge my classmate and organizer of the Speakers Forum for inviting me as a speaker today. Mr. Stephen Hill, please stand. And although Jezeel has mentioned Dennis Barnett, I would like to acknowledge Dennis. Dennis, stand. Where are you? Okay. The story is that Dennis was the man who actually came to me in Miami and says, Philip, I need you to go to Jamaica and help St. George's College. So I said, if I'm going to do that, I would like you to come with me. So we came down together to Jamaica to meet Mrs. Campbell. I met her for the first time then. And we organized a program where I asked her to give me a list of 5 or 6 potential scholarship candidates and to have them come and meet me at St. George's. And the one condition I set to her is that if you're going to be a scholarship candidate, you must bring your parents to the meeting. So we came, and that's where we met with Jezeel and his mom and others. There were like 6 others that we gave scholarships to. I wish to acknowledge Jezeel as my first scholarship recipient. He's now a big attorney on his own, and we wish you great success. I also wish to acknowledge my ex-classmate, Professor Trevor Monroe. Please stand. You know, Trevor was a Rhodes Scholar. He was much brighter than I was. And now he's at the National Integrity Action. I wish to acknowledge Mr. Butch Hendrickson. Will you please stand, Butch? He's not a Georgian, but we'll accept him here sometimes. Butch is the chairman of Continental Baking Company and also of Coconut Bay Beach Resort in St. Lucia. He has been the chairman of Exim Bank and also VP of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. I wish to acknowledge Mr. Curtis Meyer. Where are you, Curtis? Yeah, Curtis Meyer and Avon Edwards, who did the filming, which you will see shortly. Now that we have seen the documentary, the other Georgians that I would like to mention is Dennis Charlie, who brought me here today. Stand so everybody can see you. Dennis is a financial advisor for law insurance brokers. And my good friend, I don't want to miss him out, is Mr. Patrick Turlon. Where is Patrick? Okay, Patrick, great. Patrick was the founder of the first internet service in the West Indies, not only in Jamaica, but in the West Indies. And now he's also past chairman of InfoChannel and the founder. Thank you. I just want to state that although Jezeel had mentioned it, I was born in Tahiti in the South Pacific, a small island, much smaller than Jamaica. As a matter of fact, the population of Tahiti is under 300,000 people. So Jamaica is like 11 times bigger than it. I relocated to Jamaica with my parents and 4 siblings when I was 5 years old. I spoke no English, a little Chinese and a little French, because Tahiti was a French colony. After a while, we settled in Jamaica. Then we moved to Mavis Bank. And we settled there at the foothills of the Blue Mountains. And I will try today to put you in a free frame of mind where you can accomplish great things. And I'm going to let you see the comparison between me and you at this stage of your life. And from a simple little shop that we had in Mavis Bank, and we continued to do business. We were poor children. We were running around barefooted and went to Mount Fletcher High School. It was a real small country school, if you will. I did my homework by kerosene lamp. And I know most of you today are not doing that. So you are better off than I was at this stage of my life. There was no electricity, no air conditioning, no sewage system, no hot water. So you can consider yourself very fortunate that you are ahead of me at this time of your life. However, I plodded along, and somehow I got into St. George's College. The truth is, I really don't remember if I got a scholarship or an entrance or whatever it was, but I know I ended up in Form 1A with those gentlemen that I called before. We went on. I graduated from St. George's College. And I got my first job at Cable and Wireless as a radio telephone operator. And after 3 years, I was able to get a job for my friend, a schoolmate at George's. His name is Trevor Wong. I got him a job at Cable and Wireless also. And about a year after, he came to me and he said, Philip, my aunt visited from California and they invited us to come to California to stay with them. I said, wow, that's a big task. But anyway, we got together some friends, so 4 of us went to California. We jumped on the Air Jamaica flight to Miami. And we took a Greyhound bus from Miami to Los Angeles. It took about 3 days. We saw the countryside and we were very happy about that. And we saved a lot of money from an expensive plane fare from Miami to LA. We kind of have planned that since we are in California, we're going to go to college here. We did not plan that before. And somehow, I got into Los Angeles City College, and then I made an application to the University of California. And I got in, that was UCLA. I enrolled in a program for electrical engineering. And somehow, after paying the tuition for the first semester, I ran out of money. So I said, I have to do something about this. So I got the local school paper, which is called the Bruin. I looked at there in the wanted ads, and I saw an ad for a houseboy. I said, I never know what a houseboy was. But I saw the number and I called. And Mrs. Van Groom answered. She interviewed me on the phone for about 10 minutes. And then she said, Philip, you sound very interested. I'd like to meet you. Why don't you come over to my home? It just happened, our home was at 520 Hillcrest Road. I never forget that address. She was living in Beverly Hills, California. Probably at that time was the most expensive section of the whole United States. But anyway, in 1 hour, I was at Mrs. Van Grove's house, and I talked to her, I spoke with her for a while, and at the end of the talk, she says, Philip, I'm going to give you the job, so you have the job. I said, when do I start? She says, you can move in today. So, of course, I'm paying rent and light and food, and I jumped on it. I went home, got all my clothes in a suitcase, and I went back to Mrs. Van Grove. Imagine I was living in Beverly Hills, California, the most expensive city probably in the United States at that time. And you won't believe, in front of us lived Colonel Parker, the manager for Elvis Presley. Behind me was Jerry Lewis, the comedian. And on top of Hillcrest Road was Ella Fitzgerald. You won't believe that. So I was in the cream of the area, and I continued to live there. So she explained the job to me, and I'm explaining the job to you because a lot of Jamaicans, we go to America and we consider jobs very menial, so we don't do it. I'm saying to you, whatever the purpose is, as long as it serves your purpose, the job is not menial. It is a way to get where you want to go. So, however, the job entails simple things. I think it was very simple. It was a nothing job to me. And she says, all in the morning, before you go to classes, you pick up the dishes from the breakfast table, you go upstairs and make up the beds, and you vacuum the floors, and then you can go to school. It's a sign. That sounds like a real job. And then she says, you have a free apartment. It's attached to the garage. It's fully furnished with a shower and a bed and everything. And she says, I will pay you $200 a month. And that was enough to buy my books. I was very, very happy. So I moved in. Within 2 hours, I was moving in. I moved in, and we continued working there for a while. And then I realized that I had no light bills to pay, no water bills, no electricity. I paid no rent. I bought no groceries because that was all supplied for me. The money she paid me was to buy books, and I was very happy. My financial situation was settling down. I was very happy. I started looking for a job when I went to school because I had tuition to pay. Apart from the books, I had a big tuition to pay every semester. And so I looked around, I got a job at the chemistry department as a technician in the chemistry department warehouse. I went to school then, and at UCLA, at that time I was going to school, was the era in which UCLA won 10 national basketball championships. I don't think that will ever happen again. A championship, you probably win once in 10 years, and Coach Wooden at the time was able to win 10 championships in a row. And the guys that were there was like, I don't know if you know Lou Alcindor, Kareem Jabbar. He was the star of the show then. And at the time I was going to UCLA, Arthur Ashe, the big tennis champion, the Wimbledon champion, was also a student there with me. And I must mention, and you will probably know some of them. The two big Jamaican guys that I knew was Tony Johnson, who became the ambassador to the United States and the High Commissioner to England. And the other Tony Johnson was the one who started Sunsplash. So I was in good company then. Fast forward to graduation, I finally finished and got my electrical engineering degree from UCLA. On graduation, I landed a job as a design engineer at Western Gear Corporation, which was an engineering company which designed and manufactured aircraft subsystems for companies like Boeing, Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, and the A300 Airbus company. During this era, these companies developed the jumbo jets series, like the DC-10, the 747s, and the Lockheed 1011, and the A300 Airbus. We were subcontractors to these great companies. And we were supplying subsystems like the landing gear, you know, the landing gear that comes out of the belly and the wheels will touch the land when the airplane is going down. And we made the flap actuators for the wings that gave the lift to the plane or descent. And we also made the cargo handling system. Where you put the luggage in the cart, the cargo handling system would actually put the carts in the belly of the plane, and the actuators that we designed would move and locate these cards into place. After 3 years in the engineering department, I was promoted to the marketing department, and we wrote marketing and feasibility studies for these great companies. And I was able to win contracts for my company worth millions of dollars. And so I became very, very important to them because I was winning contracts for them. However, after 5 years at Western Gear Corporation, I saw an ad in a Jamaican Gleaner that I had, and the government says that they're encouraging graduates with technical degrees or whatever from the United States to come back to Jamaica and to help Jamaica. I was young and idealistic, so I decided, you know what, I have a good job here, but I'm going back home. So I decided to do that. It so happened that in 1972, I got married. I asked my wife, Barbara, would you go to Jamaica with me? She said, yeah, I'll go to Jamaica. And so I took off to Jamaica. And before I moved, I had gotten an offer for a job. And I made contact with a friend who gave me a job. And we were making preparations to come back from LA. I arrived in Kingston with my new wife, a house full of furniture. And when I was ready to start work in a new job, I was told that the owner had changed his mind about my job. And I'll tell you that there was a big disappointment. Nobody knew about it. So I stayed positive and continued on. And by coincidence, I had another friend who knew about my situation and said, look, I have arranged a meeting with Mr. Carl Hendrickson, that is Butch's father. And he is going to have lunch with you at the Sheraton for an interview. I said, great. We had a great lunch. And at the end of the meeting, Mr. Hendrickson said to me, I'm offering you the job as General Manager for National Packaging Corporation, starting Monday morning. I said, wow, that's a big coincidence. So this started the second chapter of my life in Jamaica. I tell you these details so that you can understand that you always have to keep positive. The week before I had the biggest disappointment, and now I have the biggest job that I could get in Jamaica. I went to the job at National Packaging, and I never was in a packaging plant. I never saw, I didn't know what polyethylene or cellophane was. So I said to Mr. Hendrickson, I need 2 weeks to study the plant and give you a report. The wise guy that Mr. Hendrickson was said, don't worry, that's okay. And so I gave him a report 2 weeks after, and in my report, I said to him, we have back orders here for 3 or 4 months. What does that mean? That means we have orders that people gave us and expected to get the supply in 2 weeks, and it's taken 3 or 4 months to get it. I said, Mr. Hendrickson, that is not acceptable. So I wrote a report and gave it to him. And at the time, the factory was working 2 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week. And I recommended them to go to 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And I would recommend that you approve some funds to buy equipment for me. And this was no small buy. It was $500,000 worth of extruders, printing machines. If you ever see what a polyethylene printing machine looks like, I remember it was a flexographic press with ink rolls with 4 different colors, because it was what we call a 4-color press. And a new slitter to cut the things, and the extruders. I don't know what you know, what an extruder is, but an extruder is a machine where you put the granules of the polyethylene in it, it melts it down, it becomes a circular reel, and it becomes a tube. The tube goes 30 feet in the air, and from this tube, they would slit the 2 sides, and so that they make 2 sheets of polyethylene material. I gave the report to him, and my fellow workers thought I was crazy. However, the management studied it, and Mr. Hendrickson, being the wise man he is and the best CEO of the time, I think, decided to approve the project. And so in 6 months, We got the order and the equipment was shipped down to Jamaica. And then we decided to hire enough people to take up the slack on these machines. The equipment were installed and everything was running smooth at this time. We had geared up the staffing to take care of the extra machines that we had. And in 18 months, we doubled the sales, we caught up with the back orders, and we made triple the profits for the company. I was now a hero. At the same time, after 3 years, NCC, Mr. Hendrickson, decided to go on a retail binge. So we acquired John R. Wong, Master Supermarket, and Lane Supermarket, and then I was promoted to head the retail division, the supermarket chain. We were operating over 10 locations with over 500 employees. I was only 29 or 30 years old, and I was having the time of my life. NCC at the time were partners with a company called ITT, International Telephone and Telegraph, out of Connecticut. And the chairman of ITT was Harold Janine, and he was probably the foremost CEO in the United States at the time. And they developed the corporation into 250 acquisitions and over 2,000 separate working units and sales of over $22 billion and 400,000 employees. This was before 1980. They owned companies like Avis, Continental Baking, Hartford Insurance, and Sheraton Hotels. Because of the NCC connection and with their influence, when we acquired the supermarkets, we were able to get an invitation to go and study the operations of Winn-Dixie supermarket in Miami. So they sent me up. We would learn and study under Winn-Dixie's management. And so we would learn all aspects of the supermarket chain before we got really started. And then Mr. Hendrickson said we should go into the retail department store business. And then when we did that, he was able to get me an appointment and for the training with Sears Roebuck. They had the highest tower in Chicago at the time. And so I was training on the sales. And they even sent us to El Salvador, where they had just built a similar type store that we would build here in Jamaica. Well, things happened. We came back to Jamaica, and it was unfortunate that we had to leave, and then we had to have another chapter in my life. But stay positive. By then, I had made a lot of contacts in Jamaica. We moved to Miami. So when I arrived in Miami with my family, I was elected to look for a business for the family. And since my family had great experience in the restaurant business in Jamaica, I elected to look for a site to build a restaurant. The Omni International Mall was just opening at the time, and I decided to lease a 5,000 square foot area to open a Chinese Polynesian restaurant. This started another chapter in my life, and I assumed management of the restaurant, and it gained notable acclaim for its culinary excellence and hospitality, earning recognition for the restaurant in the Time magazine, and attracting distinguished guests, including the great Pavarotti, Luciano Pavarotti, the Bee Gees, they're still working today, Carl Marlon, Joan Rivers, and Angela Dundee, the trainer for Muhammad Ali. Despite its success, we had to close, or ultimately close the restaurant after about 5 years. And because the significant shift in the downtown economic landscape. Undaunted by these challenges, I transitioned once again. I went out on my own and started a small import-export company, supplying hardware and building supplies to builders and contractors in Jamaica. This was a time when there was no internet, no cell phones, and basically no communications with the international market. Engineers, architects, and builders were calling me in Miami to source products for them like locks and hinges, plywood, floor tiles, and other building materials. I will compile these orders and consolidate them in a container and ship them to Kingston. Then I would fly to Kingston, collect the goods, distribute the orders, and collect the funds, and we would do this again. This continued for a couple of years, and I decided to try to sell to the local hardware stores in Miami. I imported some lesser priced hardware and started selling them to the local hardware stores in Miami. It was a slow process, but in particular, I was calling on one of the big hardware stores, and I finally met the manager and became my friend, Gus. And Gus says, he called me one day and said, Philip, the goods that you're showing me are not of the quality that we can sell. But as a matter of fact, I will show you what started this whole thing, and if it were not for this hinge, I probably would not be here today. So he took me into his office and showed me this hinge. And he said, Philip, I'm buying this hinge from a supplier in California. And if you can supply it, I will buy it from you for even 10% more. And so I said, you know what, I don't want to miss this opportunity. And so I took the hinge, I called, can you hear me? No, sorry. Okay. I called a supplier in China, and I said, look, I want to come to visit you. But the manager did not speak any English, so I decided to get an agent, and the agent is Mr. Lee. I said, Mr. Lee, I want you to talk to Mr. Chen, tell him I'm coming here to talk to him about this hinge. And finally, we made some preparation, and he met me at the airport in Guangzhou. We went to Guangzhou airport, and we drove 3 hours away in a small town called Jiamen in Guangzhou province. I checked into a hotel for $25 a night, which had no air conditioning, no hot water, no AC, and we had to climb 3 stories up to my room. But that was okay. They had a guy who put my luggage on his back, and he walked up the steps with us. Finally, I was supposed to go to the factory and visit with Mr. Chen. And he said, okay, don't worry, I will pick you up tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. And he picked me up at 8 o'clock on a motorcycle. So I got my briefcase, I jumped on the back of his motorcycle and went to his factory. Anyway, it was a good meeting. I realized that this guy, he was only like 29 years old, and he was a very bright engineer. So I said, Mr. Lee, I think he can make the hinge. We should give him the opportunity to do that. And then we said, I stayed in the factory for about a week. I showed him how to make the hinge and what to do and what strict requirements we had. And I left. I left with Mr. Lee and went to the Guangzhou exhibition fair. Now, you've never seen anything like this. The fair had 15 million square foot and over 31,000 exhibitors and 74,000 booths. You can source anything at this fair, including EV cars, lithium batteries, computers, cell phones, clothing, toys, anything. Over 3.7 billion products are shown at this exhibition. Then I met a young salesman there who was working for one of the big import-export companies in China. And he also was a young 29-year-old guy. And in those days, China was just changing over to a free enterprise system. And they were getting rid of all your factories and giving the opportunity to all these young guys to work. Anyway, Mr. Ma was a salesman, and he would follow me forever in the show until I gave him an order. I gave him a small order, and I left him there and said, ship the order, and if this comes through okay with the quality, I will reorder. And that was another great example of starting from nothing. Mr. Ma was so happy to get an order from me that he insisted that I go to visit his apartment. I didn't want to, but anyway, he insisted. I went. It was a small government apartment, which is paying $100 a month. It was about a 12 by 12 room with that included everything, bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, everything. And he rode a bicycle to school, to work. I'm telling you this because of where he started. And after 3 years of working with him, he came to me and said, would you stay with me if I went and started my own company? I said, for sure. And I did. In 3 years, Mr. Ma started from 1 employee to 50 employees and was already doing $70 million a year in business. Today, Mr. Ma has his own factory. It is 1.5 million square foot. And he has 2,500 employees. And today, his big customers are like Home Depot, Lowe's, Asa Abloy, IKEA, and so forth. And he was doing over $250 million a year. He is a very, very wealthy man in China today. And after a while, I had another great encounter. I got a call from California, Mr. Dave Purser. And Dave says, Philip, you don't know me, but I came to Miami. I saw your displays, and I'd like to buy your hinges because I work with Asa Abloy, which is the biggest Swedish company in the world selling locks, commercial and home, and residential locks. So I agreed. He says, send me a sample of what you want to sell and send me a catalog. I did not have a catalog at that time. But of course, I went ahead and quickly made a catalog. I sent it to him, and he distributed that to all his companies. And he was in every city, in every state in America. And he says, if you give me the permission, I will get your products in all the stores. And of course, he didn't know he was doing me such a big favor. And in about 6 months after that, I had national coverage without spending a dime. Okay, the lessons I learned, or rather the lessons that were imposed on me, are so basic that you could easily miss them. One, when you get, Georgians, when you get an opportunity to go to a school like St. George's College, embrace it and give it your all. Study hard and do your homework. Do not waste time, and do your best. Number two, if you get an opportunity to go abroad and study, you never know what will happen, but go and do your best. Stay positive. When you get a job to advance your purpose, like my houseboy when I was in California, do it earnestly. The job doesn't matter. The end result is what matters. I graduated finally. And when number four, when a terrible disappointment occurs, like leaving a great engineering job, going to Jamaica, and not having a job when you were promised one, do not despair. Stay positive, better will come. And when you get an opportunity to sell a product for you in sales or in business, pursue it to the ultimate. You know, I always thought if I did not go to China with this one hinge, I probably would not be here today. So, when you have achieved some success, give back whatever you can, whether it is in kind or in service. When you give back, it is empowering, and it always seems to come back to me tenfold. Today, I'm making a pledge to you of 50 million Jamaican dollars to accomplish two purposes. One is to build Barbara and Philip Wong STGC Gymnasium at Emmett Park. The gymnasium will encompass about up to 4,000 square foot of space, and will have bathroom stalls, toilet stalls, and shower stalls, lockers, and security locks. It will have change rooms, and the space will have special flooring for exercising purposes, painted and sealed, and fully air conditioned. The space will have state-of-the-art equipment to include Smith machines, multi-jungle, power gauge, leg extension, leg curls, inner thigh, outer thigh, bench presses, ellipticals, and bikes, and other accessories. It will be a complete exercise room, state-of-the-art. We hope this gym will help to build the bodies of the Georgians and faculty alike, and in so doing will help to build your mental abilities. The gymnasium will take about 80% of that commitment and of the pledge, and the other 20% will be used to hire bright teachers. Mrs. Campbell will take care of that, to teach and to tutor students after school or on Saturdays. So please take advantage of that. Now that I have made a commitment to you, I would like to ask a small commitment from you, Georgians. I would like you to make a pledge, whether silently or aloud. Place your hand on your chest like me and say, I commit to dedicating more time and effort to my studies by completing all assignments, and to ask for help when needed. I understand that this commitment will help me achieve my academic goals and grow as a student. It will make me and my parents proud, and in so doing, I will help to advance the CSEC, CSX pass rate and elevate the ranking of St. George's College to a 5% ranking island-wide. Thank you. I understand that there may be a question and answer period, and I will be open to questions now. Thank you. Oh, it's okay. Thanks.
Ahead with the questions. We'll firstly ask the students to introduce themselves and then proceed with the questions.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ricardo Ellis, Deputy Head Boy of the St. George's College.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaden Frey.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerome Hales, and I am the current Student Council Secretary and the captain of the School Challenge Quiz team.
All right, and so we'll ask Mr. Hills, Jerome, if you can go with your first question, please.
All right, so my question for Mr. Wong is, on your looking back on your journey, was there a defining moment when you realized you were creating something bigger than yourself? And how do you balance chasing personal success with building a legacy that impacts others? Thank you.
Well, basically, it really didn't occur to me until maybe after I graduated and started settling down, because my life was so complicated at the time that I was not thinking about George's at the time, to be honest with you. But I guess the light bulb moment came when Dennis Barnett came over to me and said, you know, you should go and help St. George's College. And that's when it really hit home.
All right, thank you very much. And then we'll just move along the line.
Okay, so we often hear that your network is your net worth, but maintaining genuine connections is harder than it seems. So how did you build your network from the ground up, and how do you sustain and deepen those relationships over time?
Well, the truth is, it wasn't planned. It kind of just happened. After I went to China and got the hinge made, I was getting other products. And Gus, who helped me at the big wholesale store in Miami, he was buying hardware like hinges and stops and door stops and so forth from a company called Ives. And Ives was a 100-year-old company making hardware forever in Miami, in the States. And he said to me, now that you have supplied the hinge and it's going well, I'm going to take you to the showroom and you look at the display that we have there, and there are about 100 items. And if you can make any one of those items, I will buy it from you. So I had a great friend here who really started me off. And within a year or two, I was making almost 100% of all the items that he showed me. And in fact, I started with one item, and now we have, I don't know, 5,000 items. So we just added on and added on. And at that time, in 2000, when things changed, I was growing my company at the rate of 50% per year for the next 10 years. It was amazing. I could not even believe it. So that was a big, big number.
Yes. All right. So many great ventures often begin with almost nothing.
Yeah.
When you had very little resources, how did you turn those limitations into opportunities? And what mindset kept you moving forward as opposed to giving up?
Well, I started with nothing, as you say. You know that. I told you the whole story. We had nothing. And really, it wasn't until I was maybe over 40 years old, or maybe 50, before I was able to even afford anything, that was extra. But because of my involvement and work with the owners of the factories that I dealt with, Mr. Chen and Mr. Ma, they believed in me. And when, in fact, we had to make letters of credit, I don't know if you know what a letter of credit is, but a letter of credit is that you do have to put up the money to the bank before they will give you a document that is sent to the supplier to say that Mr. Wong has the money and you can ship the goods, we will pay you from the bank. And after just a couple months, I was able to not convince them, but they agreed that I was honorable enough where they would ship me the goods and they knew that I would pay them. And that continued to this day. We started with letters of credit of 10,000, 20,000, and then it went up into the millions. And we just give an order, whether it's $1 million order or whatever. They just get it, they ship it, and we pay them in 60 days after we get it. So that was the agreement, and it just continued up to this day. We have never defaulted on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And before we release you, Mr. Wong, we're just going to have a few more questions from the audience.
Okay.
And so if there is anybody who has a question, we're going to ask that you just raise your hand for me, please. And then some of our sixth form students will approach you with the microphone. And once acknowledged, we ask you to stand, introduce yourself, and proceed with your question. All right. So I know we have questions down here and up top as well. Just looking to see where the microphone is. So we'll take this question first. All right, so stand for me.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Wong, and good afternoon to the rest of the audience here. My question to you is, my name is Gamila Williams. I'm the senior prefect of lower school. And my question to you is, as most of us here are in sixth form and planning to leave school, is there any advice that you have in terms of any scholarships that are being offered that we can maybe gain to matriculate into university if we don't have the necessary funds to do so?
Thank you.
Well, I ran into that problem before, and basically, look, now you have the internet, so you can look at all the programs all the universities have, and you can almost select where you want to go and what scholarships they offer. So use that channel first and make sure that you apply to them with a decent letter and tell them why you really want to go to that school, and try that angle first. If not, you will continue with that and just hit as many doors as you can. You never know who is going to be willing to offer you something. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentleman at the front.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong, given your journey and what you've seen over the years, what in your mind makes a successful entrepreneur?
Sorry, and if you can just state your name for me, please.
Al Edwards, I beg your pardon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. I think the biggest thing is perseverance. You got to take the opportunity and you got to run with it. You know, it's a simple thing. If I did not go to China with that 1 inch to explore the possibility of manufacturing it, I would not be here today. And so I'm saying, regardless of how dark it looks, you have to take the opportunity to go and do the best you can. And you gotta just persevere. You know, in this talk, I didn't want to bore you with all the details, but even during the time I went back to Miami and I was doing the import-export to Jamaica, I must tell you that I met a friend from China, from Hong Kong, and he said to me, Philip, I need to get some shark fins. I said, what? He said, shark fins, yeah. You know, in Hong Kong, in China, in the East, if there is a wedding and there is not a shark fin soup, which at the time, even 25, 30 years ago, a bowl of soup was like $50. And so it was really a highly specialized dish and a status dish that you must have if you're going to get married. And so Mr. Chu said to me, I need to get shark fins. And then I explored the thing. I met a friend from El Salvador. He was the son of the Minister of Education. And he says, Philip, come down to El Salvador. I will show you how to get shark fins. And the shark fins, you won't believe, they have a 200-pound shark, and they cut the fins off, and you get about 10, 15, 20 pounds of shark fin, and they throw away the whole 200-pound shark. But anyway, the only way you could get it is that you come down to El Salvador with cash, because the fishermen will not take check or anything like that. So come down, and you can buy the shark from the fishermen on the ground. I went to El Salvador, we went on the beach, we looked at the shark fins, and they were laid all over the beach, drying in the sun, because these guys were selling the shark fins. And we bought the shark fins, and I was doing this business for about 2 years, until the World Organization came in and said, these guys are killing off all the sharks and wasting the meat, so we're going to stop it. So, you know, I did that until I was able to. And you just have to do it, and you persevere, you know. You know, I didn't know what to expect, but I jumped on the plane, I went to El Salvador, I found the fisherman, I saw where there's shark fin on the floor. And another example of that was in Jamaica. I worked at NCC, and we were supplying bags to a bakery in Trinidad. And we became friends with Mr. Yip Choi, the owner. And he said, well, we are supplying bags here, everything was fine. But he had a subsidiary that dealt with tire, we call it Tire Traders Limited. I think it's still there. And that company actually did retreading of truck tires. So he says, Pat Camacho would say, if you can get these tires, I will buy them from you. And so I jumped on the plane, went to China, went to Japan, and Japan being the country that has the best tires because they're very disciplined. They only use like 1/10 of the tread on the truck tires, and they sell it. And so we buy it, and because it's almost like a new tire, they could retread it. And as a matter of fact, some of the tires did not need retreading. The retreading means that you take the whole tread off and put new treads on. And they would regroove the good ones. And all they did was to put a knife in the edge, in the groove of the tire, and they would resell it almost as a new tire. So I did that for a couple, 3 years. And then Japan got really, really smart and said, you know, we're going to stop exporting tires. So that's the end of that. So that was one of the reasons. But what I'm trying to say is that you really have to take the opportunity to do whatever you have to do, and you pursue it to the end.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to take a question, Mr. Wong, from a young lady from, I believe that's St. Hilda's, the Assistant High School.
Wow, this mic captures a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Wong.
Good afternoon.
My name is Anastasia Wainwright, and I'm the president of the Sixth Form Association at St. Hilda's. And I have, thank you. Nice. Okay, so I have 2 questions, if that's okay.
That's okay.
All right. So the first one is, when you mentioned your transition from telecommunications to engineering, I was curious, what was that moment, that spark that you had that says, I want to pursue engineering? When was
Well,
it?
actually, because I worked at Western, at Cable and Wireless, I got the bug in me at the time that I always wanted to be an electrical engineer. And that's how it really came about. I had no other ulterior motive, but I decided I didn't want to be a doctor, I didn't like blood and so forth, but I would do electrical engineering. And it was really not a transition. It was just a thing that I wanted to do.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So the second question is based on your testimony. I can tell that you are a very, very, very busy man.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, how did you manage your family life and your business life?
If you ask my wife, she'll say that I neglected the family. But it was not out of spite, it was out of hard work. I was doing 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I never stopped, I guess now is the time I'm stopping because I took the time off to come down here and do the thing. But It was not easy, and it was not easy on the family. And I apologize for that. But so we're okay now. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we have a question from Immaculate Conception High School.
Okay. Congratulations. I hear Immaculate is #1 in the island, and just note that we are coming after you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kimora Llewellyn. I am a prefect at the Immaculate Conception High School, and this is my question to you. At Immaculate, we uphold Franciscan values, reverence for God, reverence for others, reverence for the environment, and reverence for self. And so given your vast experiences, connections, struggles, and successes, how do you think that we can apply these values into our later life to achieve greatness like you did?
Well, I guess we have to balance everything that we do. We have to give back, and I guess it's one of the things that we have to do, and encourage others to do it. And I know that you sixth formers will be successful in the future, and you try to make a commitment to yourself that you will make yourself proud and your family and your school. So I really hope that you will take that in mind and make as much good as you can from it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to jump right across the street to Kingston College. All right, just check the mic for me, please. No.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jahaz Mullins. I'm the Sixth Form Association president at the Great Kingston College. Right? So I want to ask a question, Mr. Wong. As a leader myself, and you being a tremendous, you're accomplished. I want to ask, what are some of the traits you believe are needed for a leader and a successful one?
I think I said before, to be a leader, you have to have determination and grit. You gotta have a feeling in your heart that whatever you're gonna do is the right thing for you to do. And I had that feeling about most of everything I did. Once in a while I failed or whatever, but go with your gut feeling. It is always good to know that you are on the right track and that you are doing the right thing. And the other thing is to protect your name in whatever you do. Do not let that get out of hand. Keep your name, keep your character and your honor, and go ahead and do whatever you can and do it in the right way.
All right, thank you. We'll just take two final questions. We have one right here from Marymount College. Marymount High School, my apologies.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Goburn from Marymount High School, and I am a member of the Visual Arts Club. And I would want to know what is some advice of which you would give to students who would also like to pursue electrical engineering?
All right.
Okay, when you get a basic education, like I got from St. George's College, it is basically a very easy transition to go into the subjects that electrical engineering will entail. You should do chemistry, physics, math, and try to excel in these areas. And that will take you straight into engineering.
All right, thank you. We have a question at the back from the gentleman from the great St. George's College.
Good afternoon. I am Ezra Thomas, your upper school deputy head boy of this academic term. And the question I'm asking you today, Mr. Wong, is that if you were a student of this generation and you were trying to build your enterprise, how would you do it?
Wow, that's not easy. But the fact is that there's so many billionaires today who are young, under 30 years old, and they have the vision for computers like AI, information technology, and maybe that would be the area I would go into today. It's not easy, but you have to be really smart and have the vision to see some of these things that you need.
All right, thank you. And this is a young lady from St. Hugh's High School.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adriana Hall, and I am the head girl of the St. Hugh's High School. And my question is, as children at our age, we tend to shy away from our dreams when we are faced with disappointments. So what advice can you give to keep positive and to just follow our dreams?
Well, I have given you many examples of my failures or my disappointments in life. And all I say to you is, don't think about them. Go ahead positively. Do not worry about the past. Do not worry about your disappointments. And just go ahead and do what you think is positive for you. I don't know what else to say, but just like Nike says, just do it, you know. Go ahead, just do it. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about your disappointments. And just go ahead and do the best you can. And look forward to the next step.
All right, thank you so much. And there's a question from YouTube, because if you didn't know, we are streaming live. And so the question comes from Peter Mohan, who asks, when you made the great sojourn, did you do it alone or did you take your family with you?
I don't know which surgery you're talking about, but when we left, I was the first one of my family to ever get on a plane. So we took the flight from Miami from Kingston to Miami, and took the Greyhound bus to Los Angeles, where we actually settled down. It was not planned. It just happened, you know. So that part of it that we did was out of youthful engagement and encouragement. We just decided to go, and we were going to see what happens after we get to California. Yeah. Okay? Okay.
All right, so I think he was finished with his response. All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Wong. And one final question from, I believe that is Convent of Mercy Academy. Oh, sorry. Convent of Mercy Academy, Alpha.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I am Sundari Wedderburn, a student of the Convent of Mercy Academy Alpha.
Welcome to the St. George's College.
And I'm just a regular fifth former, so the most prominent roles I have is student council rep and the vice president of the Sign Language Club. And my question to you is, how can students overcome challenges like lack of resources, motivation, or even support in their education?
That is not an easy question, but as you see where Jezeel Martin made a mark and got ahead and he finally got what he wanted, I think, and you have to pursue the things or the people that you think will help you. And you have to pursue it in a very positive, mannerly way. And I hope that you will have your day and will come out successful like Jezeel.
Okay, thank you.
All right, one more question from YouTube, Mr. Wong.
Oh, okay.
And the question asks, and this is coming from Tori Bloom. What is the key to a perhaps I should have asked Mrs. Wong. What is the key to a healthy marriage even though you are working 7 days a week for so many hours?
Oh, patience, she says. Yeah, we gotta have patience. And my advice to you young people is that when you get married and your wife or your husband get really mad with you, do not answer. Hey, Butch, do you agree with me? Yes, don't answer. Just shut your mouth and go your way peacefully. Things will die down and things will be quiet and be better the next time.
Thank you so much. Wonderful words of wisdom. And so thank you, everybody, for your wonderful questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong, for your responses.
Thank you.
All right, I'm back just to, as we get to the end. What we have now is a special presentation to Mr. Wong, and I believe it's going to be done by Deacon Ronald Thwaites and Stephen Hill. Come on. Oh, Ronnie's going to...
Oh, Ronnie's here.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you?
All right. Deacon Thwaites, I think you're supposed to have the microphone.
Minister.
Or you can, whichever.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure we all want to give Philip Wong a rousing round of applause for his exciting and enthralling presentation. And I join Philip and all of us in especially thanking Stephen Hill of the class of St. George's 1959 for being the architect and executor of this series, which brings all these schools together in a kind of seminar, a kind of case study that you would have to pay big money at Harvard University to get. There Just a couple of things that I wanted to say in Thanksgiving. And the first thing is to hold up the hinge, Philip. Your hinge. Students of Kingston College, St. Hugh's High, St. Hilda's High, Monroe College, Marymount, Immaculate, JC, Calabar, Holy Childhood, Wolmer's, and probably others. What does a hinge do? A hinge connects things, and a hinge opens things when it is operated. Philip Wong this afternoon has not only told us about the history of this product that he sourced and used as the foundation of his business, but he has told us about the importance of linking things together and of creating opportunities, seizing opportunities to open things. The most important hinge that I have heard Philip speak of this evening is his wife, Barbara. Yes? Hey, young people, there is inestimable advantage of having a partner in life who is prepared to struggle with you, who is prepared to back you. And you heard what this gentleman said? Of all the bequests that he has made here and abroad, then and now, she is giving 50%, which means that he is rating her and treating her as an equal partner in all that he's done in his life. That's a big, big thing. Sixth form women don't settle for less. Sixth form men measure up to that responsibility, and your future is likely to be as exemplary as Philip Wong's has been. The second hinge, you see? The second hinge is relationships. You've heard this man speak of Mr. Ma. You've heard him speak of Gus. People who could have passed him by, could have been transactional in their relationships with him. And yet years after, he is able to rate them and to call their names and to see them not as adjuncts and as et ceteras of his success, but a people whose relationship with him he has cultured and has placed him in the position he is now. Relationships is the key to a happy life. Relationships are the key to a prosperous life. Philip Wong has spoken of the importance of the basic education that he got at Mount Fletcher Primary School and at St. George's College in Jamaica. I wonder if we realize where we are coming from. At independence 63 years ago, there were less than 10,000 students in secondary school, all grades, all over Jamaica. Philip Wong's parents would have struggled to pay the £7, $14,000 now, that was the fee for all of us in the class of 1959 who were before common entrance days. You and generations before you and after you have the opportunity, the access to education, the access to good education, reinforced by occasions such as this, which brings us all together and stops some of the stupid rivalry and red eye of inter-school rivalry. I beg of you to follow his advice, see, to make sure that you make the best use of the pivotal opportunity that we have of going to secondary school and thriving in Jamaica. And I'm sure that part of the bequests that he has made to St. George's College, that wonderful gym, Margaret Campbell, I'm sure you will agree with me, that has to be made available where possible to the members of other schools and other teams too, because George's is a beneficiary, but we're not hugging it up, because the spirit of openness, the spirit of relationships is what is really going to make the difference. There's one last thing. You might have overlooked it. You heard this gentleman speak about honorableness. You heard him speak about being able, that his word could be trusted. Jamaica is in a low trust environment. Yes? We don't trust each other enough or at all. He became trusted in the metropole of Miami so much that the banks subject to all of the federal regulations, would relax those and not demand security from him because they know what? They know that he's an honorable man. And he has proved that by his consistent behavior, and therefore he has been able to thrive in business. Sixth formers and all of our teachers and friends who have come this evening, what a feast this has been. What an extraordinary nexus between the book learning that you get and the practical experience that you've heard from this man. A good work has begun in us. Let us, by our effort and by our continuing faith, bring it to completion. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Barbara.
As usual, thank you, Deacon Thwaites, for those powerful words. Thank you again, Philip Wong. Thank you so much. Personally, I take away, right, just stay positive. Just stay positive, no matter what. At this point now, we're wrapping, and I'd like to invite Ms. Clarine McFarlane to the podium to bring the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Well, in the usual mode, we will do a roll call. But I would have noticed that some of our visitors would have already left. We're still gonna do that roll call. With your response, I'd like to hear the loudest cheer to represent the school that you're here. Ready? Ready? So I'll start with the ladies all the way from St. Anne. The ladies from St. Hilda's, where are you? I think I can do a little better than that. Where are the ladies from St. Anne, St. Hilda's High School? Thank you for coming so far, and I'm sure you have a couple of takeaways from Mr. Wong's story, as well as his inspiration. How about the ladies from St. Hugh's? What about the ladies from Constant Spring Immaculate Conception High? I know who can do better than that. What about the ladies from Marymount? I didn't expect that, but thank you. Thank you very much. The Alpharians in the house? Thank you very much. What about Calabar? Oh, the Lions left us. All right. What about our neighbors from across the road? Only that? What about St. George's College? All right, all right. Am I leaving anybody out? Monroe would have left us. What about Jamaica College? All right, and I'm happy to have all of you here with us. Indeed, it was a pleasure having students from the other schools. You'd have had a wonderful experience in the presence of like-minded individuals. And with that, on behalf of St. George's College, I would like to say thank you. This has been a successful staging of the second lecture series. And if you agree with me, I just want for you to give us just a round of applause. this lecture could have not been possible without you all together, as well as the teams that came together for this type of production. First and foremost, Mr. Wong, thank you. Thank you for journeying so far to be with us, for sharing your entrepreneurial and luminary experience. Your words of wisdom have certainly left a mark on all of us who were present here. Thank you for placing such importance on being here. 6 months ago, when Mr. Wong was asked, he said, without hesitation, I will be there. And I thank you wholeheartedly for that commitment. The story and message from the hinge will be etched in our memory for some time. A huge thank you to our sponsors, First Global Bank, or today, Cafe Blue, Flo, Mr. Wong himself, as well as the True Foundation, as well as our parent sponsor, Ms. Higgins. Your contribution would have made this success what it is, and we could not have done it without you. We are grateful for your donations as well as your services. Your commitment and support to this initiative will indeed inspire our young people to be leaders of tomorrow. A very special thank you to Phase 3. You came on board for our first lecture, and I guess you are stuck with us. Thank you for continuing to produce our lecture series in a way that is professional. That support we're truly grateful for. Particular to the students who are part of the production team. Most of the flyers that you see circulating in social media spaces, or you may have heard, they would have been created by some of our talented students that were and are still a part of the sixth form program, as well as one of our very own teacher, Miss Ronald. Let us give them a huge round of applause. Special thanks to the media team. That's Mr. Matthew McPherson of sixth form and Brother Miguel Espinal. Your engineering, go ahead. Your engineering skills would have made this experience top tier. To our student volunteers, I know I work very hard, but I couldn't do this without you. I thank you very much. Volunteerism is a core part of what we do here at St. George's College, and your willingness is greatly appreciated. To the auxiliary and support staff, Mrs. Douglas, thank you for putting this beautiful background together. Without these persons, the space that you occupy now would not have been so comfortable. So our auxiliary staff, we want to thank you wherever you are, and thank you for staying with us. And finally, to my team, Mr. Hill, Dr. Monroe, Matthew McPherson, and Nandrik Hibbert. We have done it again. It is through our continued dedication we continue to deliver such a good production. This is the second lecture, and no doubt we can say we would have had two outstanding speakers. And putting them together, I can say we have done a good job. It is our commitment to uplift the young people of today, leaders of tomorrow. And St. George's College plays a pivotal role in youth advocacy and mentorship. Thank you for your hard work and consistency. To all the guests that are seated here, whether or not you are a friend or a family, or you are specially invited, thank you. Your presence means a lot to the success of this lecture. Once again, thank you all. As we close, for those who would love to go, well, for those who may have other commitments, I will allow you to leave quietly. As you do so, there is a special feature that was asked to be played, which should have been a part of Mr. Wong's presentation. Okay. So in that regard, we will no longer, just wait a bit for me, students. In that regard, for those of you who are on the outside, can I ask the head students to move forward, please? We're going to stand together and sing the St. George's College school song, and then we will leave thereafter. Wayne, Eze, Ricardo. Need a team cue instrumental, please? So we'll have all Georgians to stand, all affiliates of St. George's College to stand, and in respect, I'll ask our visitors to stand as well too.
Testing 1, 2.
Hail St. George's alma mater, fair Jamaica's loyal daughter, ever guiding all who sought her inspiration's light. Now thy children gather round thee, lo, with garlands they have crowned thee, reverent hand and fond have worn thee with the blue and white. Wave her colors ever, burn her standards never, raise it high and proudly cry, St. George's sons forever. Where the trumpet's dawn is beaming from the campus, brightly gleaming, see the grand banner streaming, St. George's blue and white. Soon mid Kingston's fairest meadow, neath the tall cathedral shadow, those St. George's o'er children watches day and night. And with every breeze of springing, reverence fills night's perfumes bringing, all it holds the fullness blinging, plus the blue and white. Wave her colors ever, burn her standards never, raise it high and proudly cry, St. George's sons forever. Where the tropic sun is beaming from the campus, brightly gleaming, see the grand old banner streaming, St. George's blue and white. STGC, 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 Georges, a big side. STGC, 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 STGC. Georges, a big side.